In this lesson, we are going to cover the different concepts related to threat vectors and attack surfaces. Before we dive into the different threat vectors that you should be aware of, we need to take a moment to define a threat vector and an attack surface. A threat vector refers to the means or pathway by which an attacker can gain unauthorized access to a computer or network to deliver a malicious payload or carry out an unwanted action. The attack surface of a system or network, on the other hand, encompasses all the various points where an unauthorized user can try to enter data or extract data from the environment. Basically, this attack surface represents the sum of all potential vulnerabilities and entry points that an attacker could exploit. I like to think of the threat vector as the how of an attack, whereas the attack surface is the where of the attack. Now, when it comes to the attack surface, you can consider the whole network at once, but it's often easier to break down the network into smaller parts for analysis. Then each of these attack surfaces can be minimized by restricting access, removing unnecessary software, and disabling unused protocols on the portion of the network to significantly increase the security posture of your networks. For instance, the use of email and instant messaging within an organization will expand its attack surface since this provides additional avenues that could be used as a part of a phishing campaign. Similarly, the use of removable devices or unsecure networks can also increase the attack surface by introducing additional vulnerabilities that an attacker could exploit. So, now that we understand some of the basics of threat actors and attack surfaces, let's take a look at several different threat vectors that could be used to attack your enterprise networks, including messages, images, files, voice calls, removable devices, and unsecure networks. First, we have messages. Message-based threat vectors include threats delivered by email, short message service or SMS, or other forms of instant messaging. Phishing campaigns are commonly used as a part of a message-based threat vector where an attacker impersonates a trusted entity to trick its victims into revealing their sensitive information to the attacker. These messages can also contain malicious links or attachments to try and install malware, trojans, and viruses on a given system or network. For example, if you receive an email stating that you want a brand new iPhone and all you need to do is click on the link to open a form so that you can provide your mailing information for the phone to be shipped out to you, you should be very wary that this could be a message-based threat vector being used as a part of a phishing campaign. Second, we have images. Image-based threat vectors involve the embedding of malicious code inside of an image file by the threat actor. When the image is later opened or loaded by the victim system, the malicious code is executed, and this can potentially lead to data theft, a system compromise, or other types of malicious outcomes. Back in 2017, cybersecurity researchers discovered a large-scale image-based attack known as Stegano. In the Stegano attack, cybercriminals embedded malicious codes within the pixels of banner ads on so many popular websites, and the malicious code was designed to exploit known vulnerabilities in the older Internet Explorer web browser. If a user visited a website that contained the banner ad with the malicious code hidden within the banner ad's image, the code would be executed by the vulnerable web browser, and it would then redirect the user to a site that hosted an exploit kit. This exploit kit would then attempt to download and install malware on the user's system, all without the user's knowledge or any visible indication that this attack even occurred. Third, we have files. File-based threat vectors involve the use of malicious files to deliver a cyber threat. The files, often disguised as legitimate documents or software, can be transferred as email attachments through file sharing services or hosted on a malicious website. For example, if you try to avoid paying for a new video game by downloading a cracked or pirated version of the game from a website you found online, the files within the downloaded game could potentially include different types of malwares, depending on the motivations of the threat actor who uploaded the file. Fourth, we have voice calls. Voice call-based threat vectors, also known as phishing, involves the use of voice calls to trick victims into revealing their sensitive information to an attacker. The attacker may try to impersonate a trusted entity, such as a bank or a service provider, to gain the victim's trust over the call. For example, you may get unsolicited calls to your cell phone from someone claiming to be from the Internal Revenue Service, and if you don't provide them with your social security number for identification purposes or credit card information to pay a fine, that they will send agents to your house to arrest you for non-compliance. In reality, this is just an attacker trying to scare you into providing your information, because the IRS does not call people directly and instead would send you a formal letter in the mail to collect any information or payments from you. if this was really the IRS. Fifth, we have removable devices. Removable device threat vectors refers to the threats delivered via removable devices, such as USB thumb drives and externally connected storage devices, like hard disks and solid-state devices. One common technique used with removable devices is known as baiting. With baiting, an attacker might leave a malware-infected USB drive in a location where their target might find it, such as in the parking lot or the lobby of the targeted organization. If a target finds the device, connects it to their computer system, the malware will then be installed and executed. Alternatively, some attackers may use social engineering techniques to get themselves into the office building where they can then connect the removable device on the system themselves in order to infect the system. The exact malware and objectives used for the attack will really depend on the attacker's own motivations as well. Sixth, we have unsecure networks. Unsecure networks include wireless, wired, and Bluetooth networks that lack the appropriate security measures to protect these networks. Since the networks are unsecure, an attacker can exploit these networks to intercept data, to deliver malware, or to gain unauthorized access to connected devices. Wireless networks, such as Wi-Fi, provide convenient and flexible connectivity. However, they also present a significant threat vector for our enterprise networks. If these wireless networks are not properly secured, unauthorized individuals can intercept the wireless communications or gain access to the network. For instance, attackers can set up rogue access points known as evil twins to create fake Wi-Fi networks that mimic an organization's legitimate ones. When users connect to these fake Wi-Fi networks, their data can be intercepted, captured, and modified based on the objectives when conducting the attack. Wired networks tend to be more secure than their wireless counterparts, but they are still not immune to threats. Physical access to the network infrastructure can lead to various attacks, such as tapping into the network cables to intercept and manipulate the data, or connecting unauthorized devices to the network by using MAC address cloning or VLAN hopping. Bluetooth networks are widely used for short-range communications between devices, and they present us with yet another threat vector that an attacker can exploit. By exploiting vulnerabilities within the Bluetooth protocol, an attacker can carry out their attacks using techniques like the Blueborn or the BlueSmack exploits. Blueborn, for example, refers to a set of vulnerabilities in the Bluetooth technology can allow an attacker to take over devices, spread malware, or even establish an on-path attack to intercept communications without any user interaction. BlueSmack, on the other hand, is a type of denial service attack that targets Bluetooth-enabled devices by sending a specially crafted logic link control adaptation protocol packet to a target device, which can then consume all the available resources on a targeted device and causes it to crash or become inoperable. So remember, a threat vector refers to the means or pathway by which an attacker can gain unauthorized access to a computer or network to deliver a malicious payload or carry out an unwanted action. The attack surface of a system or network, on the other hand, encompasses all the various points where an unauthorized user can try to enter data or extract data from an environment. There are many different threat vectors that an attacker could use against your enterprise networks, including messages, images, files, voice calls, removable devices, and unsecured networks. By better understanding the various paths used by threat actors to infiltrate your enterprise network, you can help to develop a more effective defense, implement the appropriate security policies, and ultimately protect your organization's valuable data and resources.